Welcome back to episode 13 of GFreak Speaks podcast. We have our special guest today, Emmy Cosplays. Welcome to the goddamn podcast. How you doing, Emmy?
Howdy! I'm fabulous. Thank you for having me here. I feel very special.
It's great to have you here. Is this your first podcast?
No, I have done 4 podcasts before.
Okay.
Not my first rodeo.
I'm spewing. You should have said first, so for everyone to be like, oh, she's the first. Anyway. I just want to let everyone know at the start of the podcast, because I never do this, but I'm going to do it now. Okay, this is the first time I'm doing it at the very start. Is that this podcast is this? Oh my god, I just chalked that. We're going to keep that in there though, because we go completely raw with our edits. But this podcast is also available on Apple, iTunes. Apple is iTunes. Oh my god, I've butchered this, haven't I?
Maybe I should take over.
You know what? It's just going to be Emmy Speaks. Emmy Speaks podcast. But this podcast is available on iTunes and Spotify and YouTube as well, and your best podcast sites. So make sure to keep it up to date with that at GFreak Speaks. But Emmy, let's get into it, okay? Cosplays. How did you get into it? Tell me about it. Where did the journey begin?
Oh my god, okay. It's not very exciting. A lot of people have these really amazing cosplay stories, and mine is a little like, I don't know, just not very exciting. I don't know. I heard about a convention happening. This is like Manifest, Melbourne Anime Fest. This is like in I think it was 2010 or 2009. It was very, very early on. And I was a very young teen. And I just thought, hey, this sounds fun, because I was into anime. And I just heard from like my sister and her friends, like, hey, people actually dress up to these events. Do you want to pick a character and we'll like get a costume together? And I just thought, sure. And then literally ever since then, it's just sort of snowballed. Like after that event finished, I was like, right, when's the next one? Trying to research it, think of like what I'm going to do next. And then it slowly kind of evolved from like just buying the next costume. And then it was like, well, I want to do this character, but I can't find that costume, so I need to like buy some little bits and then make some parts, and it just, now it's gotten really out of control.
I love it.
Thanks.
So it started from a young age, and you've just kind of gone from there, really.
Yeah.
Tell me about your favorite project to work on that you've worked on. Now, be very descriptive, because for the people that are listening, they have to kind of vision that as well, because they may not be watching on YouTube. But just run me through it. So say the character's name and then just describe what it looks from top to bottom.
Yeah, so this, actually, if you are watching on YouTube, then you can see it.
There you go.
My favorite costume that I've ever worked on is my fungal infected Princess Peach costume. I had this idea. I was working on this.
I just think of a fungal infected foot, bro.
No foot fungus. Ew, could you just imagine? It's like a regular peach, and then she pokes her foot out, and
it's just her feet.
Like,
it's just
a disgusting toe.
Okay, go on. Run me through the fungal infected peach.
So it's so imagine Princess Peach, right?
Yeah.
Everyone knows her, except the subjects of the Mushroom Kingdom have decided, you know what, we're just going to take over your body and start growing mushrooms out of you. So it's very horror themed. It's very disgusting. The idea is that she's like been totally overcome and like fell down in a forest, I guess, and everything's just sort of started growing off of her. So it's covered in moss and lichen and little mushroom pieces, a lot of chicken of the wood mushrooms, which are like these types. I had to research a lot of different mushrooms to kind of get the right variety. And I just wanted her to look moldy and decrepit. And I just absolutely loved making this, because I found through my costume construction journey that I am really, really bad at being accurate and precise. And I thought that I was just doomed to make terrible costumes forever. But then I realized, like, oh, actually, I think I can make this work for me if I make something like imperfect, or if I make something that's kind of meant to be broken and messy and just you know, disgusting, I can make it work for me. So I just loved like throwing paint all over it, gluing stuff just like wherever I want. There was no like accuracy. I didn't have to make it even. I could just like go nuts, cover it in paint and all sorts of disgusting bits and pieces.
I like it. So how do you make these mushrooms and stuff in the back? So for people who are looking, listening right now, you've got to picture like all these mushrooms growing on top of each other, like as layers and layers, like an ogre. Anyway, and so if you understand the reference from Shrek, but
yes,
the mushrooms are like stacked on top of each other. So how do you get that effect and this like green that looks like an old person's skin scrunched up and plastered on there? How do you do that? Yeah. Like, tell me about the mushrooms first.
Yeah, there's a few different ways that I've done the mushrooms. So the chicken of the wood mushrooms.
Yep.
Basically, I start with sheets of EVA foam. It's literally just a flat sheet, and it's EVA foam is like imagine like craft foam that you get from the $2 shop. Like it's just like imagine paper, but like porous and maybe 2 millimeters thick.
Yep.
I just cut it into like a funky shape that I decided based on like my reference images, cut it into my mushroom shape. And then I had to, because it's actually got a lot of lines running through the mushroom that give it like this 3D effect. And that's like kind of what they look like.
Yeah.
So I had to score all these little lines into each individual mushroom with like a craft knife. And then you have to heat up the mushroom, because if you cut lines into foam, it doesn't look like anything. But if you heat the foam up,
shrink it.
It shrinks. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the foam shrinks and then the lines look much more defined. So I had to score and heat set all of my different mushrooms. And then to kind of stick them on in this layered effect, I basically just have to start from the bottom and layer them on top. So they're just stuck with fabric glue on top of the dress. But basically I'll start with the bottom one, stick that on, and then I'll do another one on top and another one on top. And I keep layering it on top of each other so you get the tiered effect. Yep. And the moss that's growing around it, I've got two different kinds. I've got the classic moss, which is like artificial moss that you'd buy from the $2 shop. But that's pretty and meant to be for terrariums and stuff. I needed a little more disgusting. So I basically made this concoction of PVA glue and black, brown, green, like disgusting paint, sprinkled all my moss inside it, and just slathered it onto all of the areas that I needed to like cover up. For example, if I just had the mushroom sitting there, it would be like, well, you've glued foam to a dress. Whereas if you've got the moss kind of disguising it, it's less, it's a little more realistic that way.
Yeah.
So basically the PVA sets clear so that it doesn't look white. But then the acrylic pigments in the paint are left. So it's stuck there and it's solid and it's not going to fall off, but it's also, a nicer kind of more disgusting color. And then the other kind of moldy stuff that I have, it's more like lichen, I guess, lichen or mold. I've actually used a puff paste, which you can get from art shops.
Yep.
And you apply it in like a really thin circular motion, so it looks like it's kind of growing from one spot. And then you have to hit it with a heat gun or steam from an iron or a steamer. You just have to heat it up in some way, and then it puffs up by itself. It's like popcorn almost, if you've seen like popcorn sort of grow slowly.
Like construction expanding foam, just slap it on there. It'll just just go everywhere.
I mean, it would go
that would
everywhere.
Work. I don't know if it would stick too well though.
I think, it would stick, because I have used expanding foam before. But the thing is, expanding foam, I don't know if you've ever carved into it after it's expanded.
Yeah, it's not good.
Full of air pockets.
Yeah.
Full of air pockets, so there'd be just like a bunch of holes in it.
Yeah, okay. No, I get you, man. But let's move on from that, and I want you to tell me about your experience on COSPLAY and representing Australia. So, first of all, I want you to tell me about what is COSPLAY, and then what did you do?
Yeah, so COSPLAY was the first reality cosplay series on Twitch, hosted by Jeremy Carey. If you don't know who he is, he's amazing, amazing cosplayer and artist. basically he wanted to do this online worldwide reality show competition where each week we have to make a new costume. So there's like different challenges every week. We have to fit a theme. We all make a costume, take photos, submit them, and then they're presented to the world, basically.
This is like MasterChef
really
for cosplay.
That's exactly what it is.
I
That
love
is
it.
exactly what it is. And it's because it's a reality show, because like there are tons of cosplay competitions where you just send in photos and it's like whatever.
Yeah.
But this, it's like, it's a reality show, so you really want to get to know your contestants, right? So each week we sat down and with Jeremy and talked about like, you know, how we made it, our trials and tribulations through the week and things like that. So you really got to know the audience and they got to know you. And it was just a really fun experience overall. And then, of course, at the end of the week, someone has to get eliminated, right? No. And the chat has to decide on the winner, on the loser, sorry, on who gets eliminated.
So what about people that are massive streamers? Like, say, for example, you're coming up against like a big powerhouse in the cosplay. Did the powerhouse win because of their fan base? Is that...
Not always. Not always.
Okay.
Because that's whenever I told people about this competition, that's what they all thought.
Yeah.
And I found that it didn't always pan out that way, because when you think about it, like, so there's only 2 people in the bottom, right? Like, you're not voting out of all 10 contestants. You're voting out of 2 people. So if you've got 2 people, if you got, like, let's say one contestant has a huge amount of fans, they're going to tune in to watch their contestant, but that contestant might not be in the bottom, and they might have to make a decision based on the bottom 2, literally based on merit, right? So you do get a lot of swing votes. There was an instance where I was in the bottom with someone else who did have a lot more followers than me, but they still ended up getting eliminated.
Oh!
I don't know how it happened.
Get smacked.
The audience decided, but yeah, it was very interesting because I thought, I'm done for. This person has like 20k followers or whatever, and I've got like nowhere near as much. But look, it happens.
Hey, you moved forward. So where did you place? How did you go?
I made it to the final 4.
Out of
10 people.
Fantastic. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
And were you the only Aussie?
I was the only Australian.
There we go.
So I was representing the whole country, which is really fun. So yeah, I was the only Aussie. We had someone from Germany, someone from Brazil, someone from Mexico, someone from, we had a few from the US. I feel like I'm missing someone. Oh yes, and someone from Trinidad and Tobago as well.
Okay, fantastic. And have you stayed in contact with those guys since and learnt inspiration from them, tips and tricks or whatever?
Yes, absolutely. I've stayed in contact with pretty much everyone actually on the cast of Cosplay. Like, we're all like a little family.
Hell yeah, that's sick as. So it's so interesting. So for people that, you know, may not have figured out what cosplay is, I'll explain it to them. But pretty much, if you see a character in a movie or a video game or anywhere, Emmy and other people that have the passion that Emmy does is that they actually create it from scratch, the costume themselves, and then they dress themselves up and they fit the character, and then, you know, you get some dope photos, you go to events and all that type of stuff. Like, I've seen you do a Wonder Woman, I've seen you do, I think you've done your Peach, I think you've done an Ivy one. You did one when I first met you for Overwatch, was it?
That was from Paladins.
Paladins, yes. So Paladins, dude, you had like a big sword and stuff. Like, there was shit going on everywhere. I'm like, how do you do that? Like, for one, let's go back to that event. That's PAX 2019. How did you bring all that shit with you? Like, was that on the train? Like, how did you get in?
Let me think. So the first day, because I did 2 costumes. So the first day,
you did a red one and a blue one, didn't you?
I did. Yes. So the red one, basically just like giant laundry bags. I'm pretty sure I fit it in like a giant, yes, actually I can see it right now. It's like over there in my storage. I had it in this giant laundry bag, you know, those ones that have the, yeah, there it is. You can't see it, but it's up there. It's, just giant laundry bag. And basically you just kind of lug that in to the convention, because the thing is, look, every costume's different, but most of my costumes, I can't sit down in them. So, like, taking an Uber is not an option. Driving myself in is not an option. So you kind of just have to either get changed at the convention if you can, or I don't know. I just kind of, it depends on what I'm wearing. But that's how I took that one in. And then the blue one, I think, was less intense. So I think I wore like, like a singlet, shorts, like that sort of thing, something that I could wear under it.
Yep.
And then sort of brought all of my over pieces and then like put it on, I think, in the toilets at the convention.
Good old toilets, man. How bad is it getting changed in the toilets, bro? Like, someone always drops a massive log in there and it just stinks. It continuously, it's like the security go in before the event and just drop one in there, so it actually, when you go in there that it is a toilet, and it absolutely pongs. It really, it's just shocking. In the boys' one, it's shocking. The girls' one would probably be nicer.
Yeah, look, it hasn't happened to me. I guess the girls' toilets are just like, I don't know. But they have cosplay change rooms nowadays. Like if you have we have a cosplay station at a lot of conventions, and sometimes they set up change rooms there. So
is that at PAX?
It helps.
You reckon that?
Yes, at PAX they have a change room there. I went there. They have, like the meeting rooms they have at the back of the convention center.
Yes.
A lot of the times one of those is turned into a cosplay repair station, and they have volunteers that have like materials and supplies there. So if something breaks on your costume during the day, you can go there and get repaired and fixed up. And a lot of the times they have change rooms as well up the back.
Yeah, see, at PAX there was like a private quiet room as well that I used. So personally, that was really good because I literally went in there and I could debunk and no one would care. No one would annoy me as well.
Exactly,
so it was perfect. And you can sit there, de-sweat, just chill. I remember I took Steph and she was loving it at the back and stuff. But I think the coolest, did you go to Melbourne Esports Open in 2019?
No, I missed out on that one.
That was the coolest.
I really wish I went to that.
It was smaller, and because they were launching, I think that they gave us I had a better experience at MEO than I did at PAX, because PAX was sick, but MEO was like, got to drive my car, park it under Rod Laver Arena. There was always like lunch, wraps, and drinks provided at lunch.
Well, you were treated like royalty at MEO, walking around with your JB Hi-Fi microphone.
That was nuts. That was absolutely nuts. So, and I think that was to determine if JB was going to participate again, and they were. They re-signed because they were happy with how everything went. So fingers crossed, things go well for this year, and we can have them on board with MEO and all the other sponsors that helped run that event, because it was fantastic.
That would be so cool. We really need more like esports live events in Melbourne.
Yeah,
for sure.
We'll have some. We've got Hayes working on one, so that brings the third one in there into the Trinity. True. So that's fantastic. But look, I want you to tell me about like what you do for Kanga and when you signed to Kanga, because I think you signed just after I did.
Yes.
And so what do they have you doing?
Yeah, so I signed with Kanga, around the same time as you, maybe just a little bit after, because I think you were with Kanga when you were doing MEO, and then I came to PAX like very shortly after.
Like 2 months after,
Kanga. Yeah, so it was like within that period. So I've been a content creator for Kanga Esports, so that means sitting pretty and collecting my sponsor deals, basically. But also I guess just recently, like in the past year or so, I guess, I kind of put my hand up and said, hey, like I want to get more involved. So now I'm given the title of content team manager as well. So that means I am in charge of managing like the content team as a whole. So I'm in charge of like making like sponsor deliverables and things like that, making sure the content creators are happy, organizing any sort of events and things we want to do as well. And I also help out like just in general with the org.
Yep.
With the happenings that happen during org.
That's good. It's always good to get yourself involved and take the next step and just work your way through the ranks and stuff, because at the end of the day, you've got a lot of knowledge and creation, and you've got passion for the game, and it's really someone like yourself who's someone that you want in that position, because it's just you can't just force it on someone to like want to do it. You've got to really want to do it and have the passion and understanding about how it works. So it's great to see that you're moving up the ranks. That's why I had to ask. Okay, it's great.
Thanks.
So well done on that. Maybe you might be the CEO. Who knows?
I was daydreaming about that the other day.
Of course you were.
I'm like, you know what would be nice? A woman running an esports organization.
I think, I don't know if one did or not. I'm not, Advent Gaming, I think, maybe?
You know what? I haven't looked it up and I feel bad about it.
I think there is one for Mammoth Esports. I do remember hearing a podcast years ago, and it was before the Melbourne Esports Open, and I really enjoyed her story. I can't remember. I think she co-owns it with someone, but yeah, I think Mammoth Esports does. But yeah, anyway. But look, I want you to tell me about how esports and cosplay work together exactly. Like, how do they work together? How does it work? You know, you go to a gaming convention and you can still do that, and then you can also go to a cosplay convention as well. The gamers aren't there, so how do you know what to prepare for into each event? Like, is it different, or do you just do whatever at any event?
Yeah, so every event is going to has different like requirements. For example, everyone wants different things at their event. But cosplayers are just this wealth of knowledge, right? Like if you're an esports org, or if you're a game dev or something like that, like having a cosplayer at your event, like they already know everything there is to know about your game. Like they already know, you know, if they're into esports, they probably know all the players and everything like that. If someone comes up and asks them a question, gets them chatting about your game, like it's something that you wouldn't get if you just hired a random actor, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the passion that is just totally priceless. I'm talking for like live events in particular,
yep.
For esports, but online as well. It just helps bring the hype up. Like, you know, who doesn't love seeing someone else enjoy the gaming community, right? Like that's what brings us all together.
Yeah, exactly. You know, my favorite cosplay that I like seeing personally is like seeing Master Chief. Anyone that's like massive, in like 6'4" in a Master Chief suit, I'm like, dude, that's sick. That is sick.
Yeah,
like I see
exactly.
I see the regular Batman here and there, but sometimes they just don't have like alpha presence about them. Like they've got to be huge, you know, like for those characters. Yeah. But at least with cosplay, like you can get into really anything. Like you can match yourself up to do Wonder Woman, Pac-Woman, goddamn Superman if you want, you know, Supergirl, all that type of stuff, Spider-Girl, all that type of shit. Like it's sick. What's one that you really want to do, but you're a little bit nervous in doing? Cosplay.
Okay, yeah. So I've got a few that have been swirling around my brain for a little bit. I would love to do Watson from Apex Legends in her Strange Attractor skin.
Yep.
Because it's the one where she's like got this giant jacket on that's all like polygon smushed together, and it's all shiny, and she's got this orange bodysuit, and it just looks amazing. And I have like ideas on how to do it, but it's just going to take a lot of time and money. So that's probably something that I'm scared to like dip my toe in. I'm also an unapologetic Five Nights at Freddy's fan.
Yep.
And I really want to make like a Springtrap costume.
So describe what that costume is to people.
Oh yeah, if you don't know what Springtrap looks like, basically imagine a dead body inside a mascot costume decomposing over like 30 years.
And what does the mascot costume look like?
He's like a giant rabbit.
Giant rabbit with
he's like a giant,
one
humanoid rabbit.
One ear's cooked and stuff, and the other one.
Yeah. One ear's like broken off.
Last person you want to see it like after 10 o'clock at night in a dark room by yourself.
He's disgusting. He's so disgusting. But yeah, it's like a yellow. Well, it was yellow. Now it's more like brown because it's so old and disgusting. And then there's like body parts coming out of it. It's like blood dripping from its face. Like it's pretty awful.
Hey, when you play the cosplay of like a disgusting character, okay, like that, we'll say, you know, Peach, we'll refer to your Peach, okay? Do you put like bad smells on yourself, or do you smell nice? Do you play do you go full character, or do you half-ass it?
Okay, so it depends on the context, right?
Yeah, go on.
Because I wore my Princess Peach to Fortress for the New Year's Eve event.
Yes.
Obviously, I didn't want to smell like I was dying because I'm around so many people.
Yep.
You know, but I will say, the first time I wore my Peach costume, which was for the horror challenge on Cosplay, I actually wanted like I wanted some more grossness, and I wanted to look ooey and gooey. So I literally put pea and ham soup all over my dress because it looked like vomit. I also, this is actually really bad. I did a little, because we have to do videos, and I put some of the pea and ham soup in my mouth, and I like pretended to like vomit it up because it was like bleh, like gross. And then they cut it because it was against Twitch terms of service.
No.
Devastated.
That is so funny.
I put that cold soup in my mouth for nothing. Ugh.
Did you like it though?
No, it was awful.
Like pea and ham soup, like a good one?
No, it was like a $2 one from Coles.
No, but like if you had a really nice one, like we'll say Gordon Ramsay cooked it for you, would you have it?
I mean, is cold soup ever appetizing?
No, warm soup. Like we're talking like it's been made just fresh out of the pot. Do you eat pea and ham soup?
Not really. I'm vegetarian.
Well, there we go. You just eat pea soup.
No, but it needed the chunks.
Oh well.
Needed
Okay.
chunks.
You have a little chew. You're like, this is actually pretty good. I'm going back.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I was like, let's get this over with. I'm like, let's take the tape. Let's cut it there.
That's so funny, man. That is so funny. Okay, so you don't make yourself smell. Okay, that's fair enough.
No. Well, sorry. I should have continued the story because it was about smelling. I got a bit sidetracked.
Go on.
So I put that soup on my costume, and then I sort of like put it in a bag and was like, okay, I'll just deal with that later because cosplay, right? It's week after week. So I was like, finish this costume, got to start working on the next one, right? So I kind of put it in a bag and I forgot about it for a bit. And I was like, oh my God, I've still got ham, like pea and ham soup on this dress. And I put it in this garbage bag and I opened it up and I smelled it and I was like, nah, I've got to throw this out. And it broke my heart because I loved that dress. So this is actually the second dress that I've made because the first one I had to throw out.
Oh, wow. So you've done it twice. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, you poor thing. That sucks.
Devastating.
So some poor garbage truck had to take that on board. I'm sure that's not worse stuff though.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's too funny. So, but hey, let's go into that. Piqued my curiosity there. So you're a vegetarian. Is there what's the motivation behind that? Were you like not liking meat? Did you have are you what's it called when you can't actually eat meat? Like you can't eat it because it makes you feel ill. I can't remember.
I don't know what the word is for that.
I got no idea. But yeah, right. Tell me through that, man.
So look, it's not as deep as you think. Okay. Basically, whenever I eat meat, I feel like really heavy and sluggish and like blah.
Yep.
So I'm just like, well, I guess I may as well just eat veggies instead. And then I was like eating veggies for a little bit just because like it made me feel better overall. And then I remember having like some meat after a while, and I don't know, I just had this thought like, this was a chicken running around like a few months ago, and now it's like in my mouth. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, so I just kind of like left it at that. That's fair enough.
Yeah. Hey, so are there any like in the cosplay world, because I'm not involved in it? Yeah. I guess I kind of might be in one way, but I'm not. I'm uncontested. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway. Maybe the mullet wig needs an upgrade before we invite you into our sanctum.
I don't want to come. Anyway, are there any cosplay rivals? Is there anyone that like they just go at each other or with yourself? Do you have a rival? You have to have a rival.
I do not have a rival.
Oh, damn.
I don't. I'm sorry. I wish I could give you... Wait, I mean, hold on. Yes, I hate her. She's disgusting. I can't stand the look of her. And her name is... No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you very much.
There you go. I gave you the soundbite there. No, I don't have any rivals, honestly. I'm just really chill. I do know that there is definitely drama happening in the cosplay community. I would be lying if there wasn't. In like most of the time, I kind of stay out of it. And the thing is, it only depends on like which circles you're kind of rolling with. The only sort of widespread drama that like most every cosplayer knows about would be stuff that's kind of like thrown back and forth in the Melbourne cosplay community Facebook group, which has 12,000 members in it.
Jesus, okay.
It's insane for one city, considering the Sydney one has like 2,000.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, so it's more just like oh, I commissioned this person to make this thing for me and they screwed me over and stole my money. And that's like, you know what? Fair enough. Like, I would be angry too.
Yep.
That sort of situation. But in terms of, like, I just don't like her because she did the same character as me or blah, blah, blah. Like, that doesn't really happen as much anymore.
Okay.
There's definitely people cancelling each other in, like, the international forums. But in Melbourne, I would say we are pretty chill compared to the rest of the planet, as far as I know.
Back onto what you just said before, but I know that for girls in high school, it's a big thing to reserve their dresses, and they post in their little group saying to everyone, this is my dress. Don't you dare do it, otherwise the claws are coming out and I'm going to scratch your face off, okay? And you will remember me till you're dead, okay? When you have a cosplay event, say we're coming into EMMY, okay? Say we're coming, Emmy's coming to EMMY. Sounds pretty good. We're going into that. Do you have a group with other cosplayers where you say, guys, I'm wearing this, don't touch it? Or is it just a free-for-all?
Not at all.
Really?
People definitely post, like, this is what I'm wearing to this event, but it is in no way in the context of, this is what I'm wearing, don't even think about wearing that character. Like, not even close. It's just not a thing. Like, I remember back in the day, like when I was a lot younger and we were more of that teenage sort of age, there was a bit of, it was like if you accidentally rocked up and you're wearing the same character, it's like whatever. But if, like, for example, if I said, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to dress up as Wonder Woman, and then your friend is like, I think I might do that too. It's like, well, why are you trying to like set me up? Like, what's the deal, you know? So there was a bit of back and forth, like if that, like for that sort of drama, if you have two total complete strangers, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
And to be honest, nowadays it has really calmed down. If I see, I mean, look, I cosplay very like fairly obscure characters. I don't normally see doubles of myself like out at cons, but some of my friends who have seen other people the same costume, it's just like, oh my god, hey, like you know, and then they just bond over like, how hard was it to make that bit? Yeah, it was a nightmare. Like, you know, they just sort of like chat and end up being friends.
No, that's
so
good.
It's like the total opposite.
And so with that, I want to know, like, do people post in there and say, hey guys, I'm wearing a Wonder Woman, I need a Superman, or I need a Batman, or I'm a Spider-Man, I need a Iron Man, or and a Captain Marvel? Like, do people do that and say, I need extra characters? Who wants to dress up and be these characters with me so we can be a group?
Yeah, people organize groups all the time.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's like a few weeks before a convention showing up, it's like, hey, I'm going to organize like a group photo, and it's like all the Marvel characters come to this spot at this time, and you'll probably see it at conventions where you all of a sudden there's a group of like all Disney princesses, and you're like, how did that happen? Why are they all like standing there at the same time with like 3 photographers? Because yeah, they actually coordinate, and then word just travels around, I guess, and then it's like, yeah, if you're cosplaying a Disney princess, be here at this time. And then those princesses see the other princesses like around at the con, and you just tell them, and then they all sort of like, yeah, go get photos. And then they might, like after the big group photo, they might split up and be like, okay, everyone from Rapunzel, go over here. Everyone from Snow White, go over here, or I don't know, whatever. And they end up getting their own little photos. So yeah, that happens all the time.
That's good. It's good to see that there's some sort of collaboration. I just want to ask you a question. In the background of your screen right now, I'm just looking around and just observing some things, getting a little bit comedic right now.
Done.
But over your right hand shoulder, are you playing this? Are you cosplaying the Santa Claus there? Because that's really good.
Oh my god. Okay, no, but it's better. You had no idea. Okay, let me get this and just show it for the YouTube people because it's fabulous. So I went to go get Christmas photos with Santa, right?
In the shopping center.
In the shopping center, which is a totally normal activity.
Yes.
Except I'm like, you know what? I don't have any like family. I don't have a date. I don't have anything like that. So I'm going to go with my cat. So it's me and my cat.
That is so funny in the shopping center.
Santa. Yep.
Are you sure Santa's not cosplaying you and you're cosplaying Santa?
Yeah.
That's a good cosplay if you're playing Santa.
That's definitely me. That'd be some crazy photos.
Hey, do you reckon you could? Do you reckon if you went? I know this is real whack, but if you cosplayed Santa at an event, do you reckon you'd pop off? Like, so many people would come to you for photos. I reckon that it sounds weird, but everyone knows Santa and loves Santa. What?
Look,
how would that go down? Reckon that go well?
Look, I've never seen that happen in my like.
There we go. There it is. There it is. I've never seen it happen. Okay.
I've never seen it happen. Look, I don't know if it'll work that. Look, if I saw a Santa at a convention, and let's just assume that the convention is on around Christmas time. If I saw a Santa there, I'd be like, this is a guy that the convention's hired. That's probably what I would think.
What about if it wasn't Christmas time and PAX and MEO time? Because that's August, September. What are you thinking there? You getting a photo with Santa?
You know what? Maybe just for the weird, like.
That's right.
Just for the sheer weirdness of it, I was like, yeah, let's get a photo with Santa.
That's right.
You know what? Yeah, look, I probably would.
That's what I'm thinking. What happens if you did a Santa with like the fungal infection?
I'm gonna scare children.
That's sick.
I'm gonna scare children.
Change the. Put some red contacts in. There we go. You're a predator. You're what's it called? Terminator.
That sounds awful. Kids are gonna run away from you screaming.
That's sick. Love that. At
I'll
least
be like,
you know what happens? You walk through a busy crowd and people just moving out of the way for you. It's mint.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you should be the first one to try it, Jack. Maybe you should do a Santa GFreak hybrid.
Hey, the GFreak doesn't
where
cosplay.
You have a white mullet, but with a red sweatband on.
Red sweatband. That'd be pretty funny. But
And
I'm not going
Santa
to.
Suit.
Hey, look, Emmy, I appreciate your time today on the podcast. Just letting everyone know that you guys can find this on Apple and Spotify, as well as YouTube for the video version, as GFreak speaks. But one burning question before we head off, okay? Where do you store your butter? Do you store it in the fridge or the pantry?
The fridge? Who puts butter in a pantry?
I do.
Why? What's wrong with you?
Because it spreads.
It's dairy. Buy a spreadable butter. You need a better brand of butter. If it doesn't spread fresh from the fridge, you need to buy a different brand of butter.
Devondale just hardens up and it's spreadable.
Yeah.
But I keep it in the fridge, in the pantry, and it just stays mint.
I only buy Lurpak, and I've literally never had a problem.
What do you say?
Lurpak. Lurpak butter.
Anyone in the comments that knows Lurpak?
I've ever had.
Anyone in the comments that knows what that butter is, or wants to participate in what their butter situation is, let us know. Okay, I want to know. Tweet me out, whatever. But Emmy, where can everyone find you?
Oh yes, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at emmycosplays.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we have it. Emmy, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. That's episode 13 with Emmy Cosplayers of GFreak Speaks. Until then, remember, be safe, stay swole, and as always, boom baby. See ya.
Boom baby.